We'll share.
All right.
Okay. Okay. So this is a project that has been a number of years as well in development. Russell is the writer. We've got Emma, who's our lead, as you saw on the screen. Michael, producer, and April, producer. So Russell,
Yeah.
this project has come from, I guess, multiple of versions until we've got to this. Okay, so let's talk about that sort of journey briefly and how we've got to this version of the film.
No worries. Originally, it started off as a bit of a splatter film, kind of along the lines of the early Peter Jackson films. You know, it was going to be gory, it was going to be a lot of fun, it was going to be all manner of craziness, and it sort of developed from what was essentially a sort of taken a zombie film to what is now sort of a ghost story. And it's also a very romantic story that's sort of developed along the way.
Okay. With the like, let's look at the story itself and let's focus on sort of the themes that we're going with it. We've got Chloe, who's our main character,
Yep.
and she's dealing with the loss of her closest, bestest friend, Alice.
Yep.
And what sort of, where does this sit within the genre of we've got it, it's a horror element, but there's something more to it as well.
Yeah. It's very supernatural. It's almost a ghost story, but not. You've got the main character who's dealing with a lot of grief, and she's just sort of consumed with rage, and that sort of fuels a lot of the actions of the movie. You've got the cover-up going on in town, so there is, like we discussed for years, it was sort of like this town is sort of like Sunnydale in a way from Buffy. You know, there's something going on in this town, there's something wrong. We don't quite understand what it is until the movie gets rolling. And it's sort of, as we've gone along, it's also become very Veronica Mars. Chloe is investigating what happened to her friend. She's trying to uncover what the boys did, trying to expose that, and it basically fuels everything that goes along with it.
What has been the journey for you from starting the project a number of years ago, like from its script form, and now we're at the point where we're pretty close to moving into production? How's that been for you? Like, I know you've fought for your right to make your scripts into films, and not always gone in the right direction, and something. And now this project is on that verge. I mean, how does that feel as a writer?
Yeah, it's amazing to actually see things coming to life. You know, I remember like when we shot the trailer down in Goulburn and in Canberra about 6 weeks ago now. I still wasn't certain about the script I wrote. You know, I still wasn't certain about the dialogue, and I think when we were driving down there, I was still like, so, you know, can I do a rewrite? But to actually see Emma and the other guys bring it to life, it's absolutely incredible seeing it come to life.
Okay.
Yeah.
And so where we're at with as I said, we're almost moving into production. We're hoping to shoot the film. So what we saw there was a concept reel. That concept reel is designed so that we can pitch it to people, get interest in it, try and raise some financing from it. So that's obviously not what the finished film is going to be. That's a lot of it was camera testing, visual effects testing, literal practical effects testing, all those sort of things. So what we're hoping to get out of that is something that gives us a good blueprint for actually taking the film forward. Emma, I discovered your showreel through Michael, and I was when I saw it, I was like, "That's you're Chloe," and so what's been the sort of, how have you kind of come on board onto this with reading the script, and how you felt about it, and what's led to the next steps and feelings?
Well, I was lucky enough just to meet Michael coincidentally
Yeah.
to get involved in this, but reading the script, even the first time I read the script, I was really blown away. The thing I am intrigued by the most is like human interaction and the psychology behind why we do what we do and why our relationships are what they are. And I think all of the characters, every single one, is so deep and so complex. And it's just so incredibly written, incredibly well written. I was just blown away and fell in love with it right away.
Tell us more about the sort of what you've learned about Chloe so far. Like what we've got moving forward is a lot of more sort of exploring the character and getting a greater sense of her. But what have you discovered about her so far? I guess someone who's dealing with grief and things like that.
She's very complicated, and I think she has a very complicated relationship with herself as well. No one can really predict what grieving will be like, and I think what we see from her is the most intense loyalty you can imagine, and just such unfaltering love for her friends and family. And I feel like she's willing to take or do anything, take any risks to protect those she loves.
Okay. So Mike, hi. These cords are like cord everywhere. Okay. I guess project a little. So, I mean, we've been making films together for 11, 12, I don't know, something like that. We've dealt with horror pretty much the whole way, and so, but this is slightly moving away from that realm. But why I wanted to produce this film with you was because of your love for horror films, and particularly Scream, considering your
favorite movie.
your film. So, what has been your sort of emotions and excitement building for this project, and how have we sort of been working together to get that there?
I think because it's changed so much since the first draft I read. As Russell touched on, it was very much a slasher film with a very Buffy sort of vibe in it, which is, again, my favourite TV show ever. So I was super excited about that. But yeah, it's come it's very different now. I think it's a lot better. It was a different film before, which would have been awesome as well, but this one is just so different. And the fact that we're sort of, I guess, showing a bit more away from we're still going to have gory parts in it, but that's not the main focus anymore, whereas it was a massive focus before. I think that's what I sort of, even though, being a massive slasher fan and all that, it has those aspects, but yeah, again, it's the connections between the characters, which I think is a little bit more unique to this one. So yeah, pretty excited.
Yeah. And April, so you are lucky to be the wife of Michael, but you're more than that now, right? You've come on board because of your connections, your experience working with people. You're, I guess, our people person, I guess, for our project, and particularly why we want to shoot it in Goulburn, and you're in Goulburn. What's kind of the approach as a people person that we can, that might help other filmmakers in approaching and getting permissions and things like that?
Thanks, Dan. I think for me, so I grew up in Goulburn and see that town as a beautiful place that has lots of potential as a backdrop. If you've ever been to Goulburn for more than just stopping for a pie and look at a giant sheep, you'll see that both the architecture and some of the heritage buildings around Goulburn are really quite amazing and really can be beautifully showcased. I think the fact that this is, and as Mikey touched on, quite a grown-up film, if that makes sense. The first reading that I did of the script compared to now, I feel like the heritage of Goulburn and the things that we've got there, it's the first inland city, don't let Bathurst fool you, they will try to claim it, is that it's an old place, there's lots of stories there, and this feels like a legitimate story that could have come out of a town like Goulburn. It is pretty small, people are pretty weird, and so I think from a connections point of view, I mean, obviously it's lucky for me that I know quite a lot of people having grown up there, but reaching out to people like the local council and also people who work or do hobby related things in film media, the local theatre company. So just talking to people who might be interested, businesses who might be interested in being a part of it to get, an opportunity in film. I think that for me, reaching out to someone that I knew from high school and saying, hey, do you know who the right person to talk to about this is? And subsequently having lots of great conversations, getting permits easily approved, which is helpful, and things like that. So just being able to reach out and having Dan's support to know exactly what he was going to do so that when, the time came, he could say, this is what I'm going to do and how do we go about it. So
yeah. Well, one of the things that I also discovered is filming in New South Wales is quite different to the ACT and the way that things are managed, and so the New South Wales expected a lot more paperwork. The ACT, they're a bit more free. You can pretty much film nearly everywhere without a permit unless you're in the Parliamentary Triangle. But Goulburn were like, no, you've got to have all this listed down, and so it was an interesting process for me to discover that, and so April was, help with that was a major part of getting at least our processes through. And I mean, we've got potentially a 5-week shoot we've got to think about, so there's a lot kind of come there. Well, one of the things that we're hoping to do as part of building towards the production of the film is using social media a lot. Obviously, that's the smart thing to do when you're trying to make films and things like that. But there's an aspect that we've been talking about that we want to focus more potentially as a way of getting an understanding of what it's like to produce a feature film and give more insight so that people can learn from us and things like that. So, yeah, go for it.
Well, we're taking a page out of Kevin Smith's book, not every page by spoiling the movie, and following his Red State of the Union podcast, and we're planning on doing an Alice podcast. When it starts, how many episodes, still in the air. But the idea is to basically hang out with, like, one episode would be Emma and one would be Michael and so forth. Basically just breaking down the aspects of the filming, what it's taken to make it happen, what's going along, just bringing people along in the journey and just, opening the curtains about as much as we can without, ruining the movie and spoiling anything for anyone. So that's what's going to be happening. I'm also writing a book on the experience of making the film, from initial conception through rewrites to filming and so forth, and probably even to release and beyond. Just basically pulling the curtain back and just taking people into the experience and seeing what's what. Yeah.
I believe that part of the process of opening yourself up and sharing is something that I don't do enough. And so Russell's saying, no, I want to do this. I want to tell my story as much as possible so that people can learn from it, because that's, I guess, the only way we can really all kind of grow is that we help each other and share as much. And that's kind of why I do these panels, why I want to give an opportunity for you guys to share and talk, is for that same reason. So that's really great. Emma, let's get to know you a little bit more. What kind of inspired you to become an actress?
I think what I was saying earlier, I've always had a lot of trouble with anxiety, so I've had a lot of trouble connecting with people and making friends and stuff ever since, like, as long as I can remember. And so I think what I said earlier about finding human interaction really intriguing, and I think that's what acting is. It's about exploring relationships and exploring characters' relationships with themselves. So I think that's always why I wanted to do that.
Yeah, okay. And then what we'll do is we'll start with Mike. We've got, what is the one thing you're looking forward to in regards to moving forward with this production, hopefully starting shooting in December?
Probably because we're shooting where I live and I only have to drive probably 5 minutes to get to set.
It's small things.
Emma?
Well, same, but also I'm really excited to explore Chloe as much as I possibly can and play around with the script.
I'm really excited for us to showcase Goulburn as a town, because it's where I grew up, and I'm really excited. And I'm excited to see the film come to life. It's been an amazing experience to be involved with it.
One thing I'm looking forward to, and I didn't mention it, is that this will be my feature film debut as a director. So I'm really excited for that. Because I've produced four features. I've lost count. That's not that many, but I produced a lot of features, but I've wanted the opportunity to be a director. That's why I've been doing a lot of short film directing recently, because I'm just trying to show that I've got the chops to be able to take on a feature film. So yes, that's why I've got 2 producers to support me, because at some point I'm going to have to step away from producing and take on the directing role. So hopefully, all things go ahead and we start shooting December. We're hoping December for a Goulburn, and then in January for part of Canberra shoot. So we're splitting the shoot between Canberra and Goulburn as much as we can. Fingers crossed it goes ahead and everything.
What did Carl say? Where there's a will, there's a way.
Always, never give up, never surrender.
That's
so,
right.
Okay, well, thank you guys. We've got to move on to our next bit. So, thank you.